Okay, folks, here we have our honeybee. We got some relatively small bevelers going. Now, the most important part of really any kind of figure carving or any tooling would probably have to be getting your order of operation down. You don't have to go over anything twice, so you want to make sure that whatever it is you are tooling is in the order it needs to. So with that being said, you want to start with the most foreground kind of objects or features. So for example, we want to do this eyeball. The eyeball is sitting right on top of that head with nothing really going on around it. And you see we did this one antenna here. Maybe give it a little tap there. And then we're gonna come in here and do the head of this honeybee. The reason why we're doing this and not the other antenna is because that other antenna...
Quick interruption. YouTube has notified me that literally 80% of you guys who watch my videos are not subscribed. So please hit that subscribe button. We are trying to hit 3,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I am a leather crafter who makes videos in his spare time, just trying to put out some extra content for you guys. So please hit that subscribe button, like this video, share it with a friend, do what you can. Most of these videos take 5 or 6 hours to make between filming it, editing it, making a thumbnail, all that stuff. I don't get paid to make YouTube videos. I just enjoy doing them. So in return, if I bring you any kind of value, whether you laugh, you cry, you learn something, whatever it might be, please hit that subscribe button. Now back to the video.
Comes from behind the bee's head. It's on the other side. You can't see where the antenna attaches to the head. That attachment point's on the back side of the honeybee. So what we're gonna do now is come in, and now we're gonna tool this other antenna. So same concept with these arms. Coming in here because there's kind of a knuckled type joint. So this front arm we got here, nice out in front. And then I'm noticing now this other arm attachment right here never got carved. So there we go. We got these two other legs that are on the very front of the honeybee, right? You can see where they attach into the body. So we're gonna do those first. Now you could do these with a molding tool or a modeling tool if you would like. I'm a big fan of trying to hard bevel in as many details as possible, especially on something that's super fine, super delicate. You want some of this tooling to stick because there's gonna be some parts of this tooling that are gonna be super fine that are gonna either rub off, rub down, fade over time. So the more you can get knocked in there, the better. So as you can see, we didn't do this other arm back here because it is behind the torso the same way that this antenna is. So since we're kind of doing the legs, we'll do this now, kind of just knock this out. It's kind of isolated. So same thing with these wings. We're gonna knock these wings in. Give them a little tap, kind of show that they're going inside the bee or they're attached to the bee. And now, one of my favorite things to do with the honeybees is usually this upper torso part, you know, that doesn't have the stripes, is typically kind of, you know, honeybees are kind of fuzzy. So we kind of want to accentuate that. And how we're going to do that is you can see we don't have any hard, you know, we're not beveling hard outline the same way that we did this wing. We're kind of doing this choppy look. And even that alone right there kind of gives it the appearance that it's fuzzy, right? So then what we'll do is come back and do this wing, knock that wing in there, maybe kind of attach these, you know, flowers that are going behind. And then moving forward, it's gonna be basically the same thing we've already done, just throughout. I like to, when I'm under, to be honest, I don't know the term for it. I call it like under beveling, which might not be correct. I usually will start, so for example, whenever I have this kind of segmented carve, what I like to do is kind of start at the bottom, because then it smashes down, and then you come back in here, and then that gives us a nice little point, and that gives us the effect that we want. Because if we go the other way, and we come in like this, and then we smash this down, then it kind of just smashes this down, this little chunk right here. When you come back like this, it smashes it down, instead of when you come in reverse this way, it kind of lifts it up. I hope you guys can kind of see that. Okay, so that's all we're gonna do for the bevelers. Now what we're gonna do next is going to really bring this bee off the surface, and I'm gonna take some backgrounding tools. I am a big fan of a matting backgrounder. I don't like bar grounders, so if you're a bar grounder user, this is the same step, maybe just a little bit different. So what I'm gonna do is come in here to these corners and really dig out some of this depth and this dimension. And this is gonna give the appearance that our bee is sitting more on the surface of the leather rather than being like a part of the leather. And you can even see that right there on the back side of this bee. It really looks like it's got good dimension. That is exactly what we're going for. We're giving ourselves extra dimension because we've had to kind of tap it lightly, so it's not quite as deep as I would like it. But when we come in here with these backgrounders, then it gives us that depth that we're looking for. But now we're gonna get into some of these micro details, which are super cool. Normally, I would probably honestly freehand the veins of this wing, but you can always come in here and kind of sketch it out with your own, you know, scratcher. You could do this with a pencil, kind of whatever you want. So the veins typically run kind of in Y shapes away from the body, like such. One thing that you definitely don't want to do, especially whenever you're tooling an animal, a plant, anything that's kind of from nature, you don't want to do it symmetrical. So don't try and copy the one pattern from the one wing to the other wing. Nature is not symmetrical like that, hardly ever. So I like that. Now what I'm going to do is take our little poker tool here, and I'm going to create some of that fuzz texture. And all I'm doing is, if you notice, this is obviously like a round kind of object. You have to imagine basically the flow of the hair on the torso kind of goes out, you know, in this kind of pattern. You want to basically, you know, as you're flicking, kind of rotate with the flow and natural curvature of the bee's body. And now this is kind of where you can freestyle. You can leave these lines here and just kind of paint them. What I like to do to kind of continue on with this, you know, little fuzzy little bee texture we got going is I'll take a swivel knife and kind of put it on its edge and kind of smash down. I'm not pushing too hard, but I'll kind of smash down along this line, which, as you can see, looks like it's giving it that little fuzzy texture. Same thing, kind of in a little bit of a fanning effect. And that gave us a little bit more kind of fur-looking texture, fuzz-looking texture, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if bees technically have fur, but I hope you guys get what I'm saying. Now we can do one of two things. We can either finish the bee off with the same poker here we did with the top portion of the torso, or a hair tool. And this is usually what I like to do just to give it more layers of texture. I'll usually try and mix up different textures throughout just so it's kind of a nice blend of multiple ones. You know, this side is a lot smaller, maybe like 1/4 of an inch or something. And then the other side is a little bit wider, more like, you know, 3/8 of an inch or something like that. And what I will do is take this, and it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be really hard to see on a camera, especially I'm just shooting with the GoPro. There's these line tool, like these lines, you can maybe see it like this. Basically all these little kind of grooves are basically blades. You can see the end down there, this edge here. The paint's kind of removed and you can see that's where it's sharp. What we'll do is basically the same thing. In each one of these stripes, I'll come and just basically tap and flick off. And this will give us more of these little microscopic hair textures. And then also too, you know, we'll do it on the legs because very, very gently, if you use this tool, it will smash the legs down. And that's not a good look. And then usually I'll do that also on the head very, very lightly, just so it's, you know, not completely smooth, just some kind of texture. And then for the little cherry on top, we will come in here and kind of create a little bit of a oval on this eye. which will be kind of like the reflection, or when I go to paint it, you know, I'll probably dot a tiny little white there. And I don't really like how the head looks, so I'm gonna kind of help the head texture along a little bit and kind of come and, you know, scratch this up a little bit. There is a tooled honeybee. Just so you guys can see, this is about the size of it. This is about a 1, you know, maybe 1.5 from tail to the edge of the antennas, almost perfectly 1.5. So vertical, basically the same exact dimensions. So, but what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna throw some paint. Okay, let me get this thumbnail. So I'm going to actually throw some paint on this thing and you guys can see the finished product. But you don't have to paint this. I like to, either honeybees, they gotta be yellow and black in my book. But if you wanna leave it there, leave it natural, leave it raw, that's totally cool. But that is how I tool the honeybee. And here is how it looks when it's finished.